Everybody, welcome along to this week's episode of the Boots to the Ballon podcast. My name is Al McFadden. I'm joined by my co-host Chris Fahey as always. Today we have a guest on that Chris has been chasing pretty much for day one since we got the podcast, as I'm sure he's going to tell you. But made over 300 appearances senior level, and really probably one of the most interesting stories we've had from that transition of football into what he did as a professional career. So welcome to the show, Mark Corcoran. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. You basically telling my career's not really worth talking about, but after's not too bad.
This is usually, for what we do here, mate, the transition story you've got is just, I know that's why Chris has been chasing you because he wants to talk about Stranraer, I think, but it's...
Mate, I must tell your story at least once a week. That's really good. It's a brilliant story. So again, you've been a hard man to get on, but they'll be worth it.
No, thanks for having me on, guys.
Well, listen, as we do with everybody, let's jump back to the start of your career now. Everything's took for Wikipedia, right? So I think what we get here is juniors first.
Yeah. So right? I played, started off at Tayport Juniors. Played there for maybe a year, and then went to university in Edinburgh. And I was at Tayport, and I don't know if it was just like young naivety, but I was like, well, Tayport's the best team there. Yeah. I'm just going to phone the best team like through here. So I just phoned the boy at Linlithgow and said, can I come along for a trial? And Jim Sinnott at the time, and he let me come along, and I did well in the trial, and then signed, and I stayed there for a couple of years, which was actually really, really good. I really enjoyed it there.
A good sign.
Then they were excellent. I think we won 6 out of the 7 cups, won the Scottish. It was a brilliant time.
The Scottish Cup game was on the telly.
It was good. Some teams still speak to a few like Swifty and stuff like that. So a great lad. So it was a good time in my career. That.
Do you think it was good grounding for you? We talk about this in this show all the time. We like it sparked in my head with Kenny Dalglish. I watched him on the overlap. He was talking about playing in the juniors when he was at Celtic, moved to the juniors, but he felt as though it grew him up a bit, helped him playing football. We talk about it a lot on here, don't we? Do you think that was a good grounding for you before?
It was probably good and bad. Like, I think I was maybe at Tayport like a little bit too young. Do you know what I mean? I think I was like 17 maybe, and boys were just like booting me about all over the shop. Like, if I'd go past a couple of boys, like they were just putting me right in the stand. But it does toughen you up as well. Do you know what I mean? So I think you kind of get to see that side of the game, and you've obviously got to work hard and boys, and you've got to play because you love it as well. It's not like you've come for a youth system or anything like that. You play because you love football, and I think it was a great grounding for me to sort of go on for the next part of my career.
So what age were you when you went from Linlithgow into seniors?
I think I went from I was working in Scottish Widows and I was playing for Linlithgow, and then I think I went part-time with Hamilton. Like Ronnie McDonald, Alan Maitland and stuff like that. They took over Hamilton, and they'd obviously all been in junior football. And I think they just took a sort of handful of the sort of best junior players at the time and moved them to Hamilton, which Hamilton fans at the time weren't particularly happy about, but it ended up working out quite well.
There's some experience going for all that experience you've had at Linlithgow and Tayport into the seniors, so the standard wouldn't have been that much difference, I wouldn't imagine.
No, not really, but I remember the first game we played, you always doubt yourself, don't you? Like I'd done well at junior, I was quite a good player at that level, and then went and played Hamilton. The very first game was a pre-season game against Hearts by Alan Mabry, was playing Scottish 7 at that time, very good players. And I think I scored and set one up in that game, but I remember coming off going, I don't know if I'm good enough to play at this level. Boy, Alan Mabry was brilliant. And I was just, it knocked my confidence probably a little bit for a while. It took me a sort of couple of months to get over that. But as you find your feet and you get used to things a bit more, you sort of come on, and I end up sort of finishing the season really well.
Good. So I think we're at Linlithgow crowd and stuff as well. I remember I played there a few times. We played them in the semi-final of the Scottish one time at Love Street, and if they didn't like you there, you'd have knew. The fans are pretty passionate, aren't they?
To be fair, they never had anything against me, but they were quite passionate about the team, and in a way it was good because they ended up following you. When we went on that Scottish Cup run, I remember going to was it Shettleston or Cambuslang? And they were wild, but our away fans were good as well, so it helped you through the game. But it was good. Some good memories, some good times.
So Hamilton, you were there for a couple of years. I had a look at the team earlier on. So there's a lot of boys in there that I know. I know Nicky Patterson was there. He's been on the show.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
I've got Alan Wardlaw was there as well. Played junior. There's been a few boys there that I could see. How was that for you when you first got in there? Was grounding good?
It was obviously. I think all the boys had come at. I don't think we started the season great. I think a lot of boys were probably sort of feeling like me. They'd come for like junior, like good players at junior level, and not really know what to expect. And it probably took us a wee bit of time to find our feet in gel. But like the boy Chris Aitken, obviously we got Stranraer with him. He was a good player. Alan Waddle, he was a bit unlucky, Wads, because he had a good player, but then he had Brian McPhee and he had Brian Carrigan.
So was it Suarez, is that another one?
Alan Waddell, yeah. He was at
Stranraer.
He came for junior. I think he was at was it Arthurley or something? He's done
Arthurley.
really well at junior, and then he came and he was a right good player. But like I say, boy, Brian Carrigan,
He was massive. Brian McPhee, wasn't he?
Carrots was on his day. Was fucking brilliant. So
he was one of the best I've ever played against. He was in the Scotland teams with me junior. He was a bit mad in the head, but
right good lad, bit of a head case, but I see on his ability was scary. So I think he found it difficult there, and like you say, Nicky Patterson was a young boy at Hamilton, I'm sure, when I was there.
At the time, they still love you, so.
He did. He's a good lad, to be fair, but he fancied himself a wee bit, didn't he? But,
still does.
He's been on here. He's a good pal of mine, Nicky. He's one of our best mates.
Does he do the recruitment as well?
He's solutions.
I followed his career. He went away to America and did quite well out there, didn't he? So
loved it. And he's still playing. He's at 4th juniors now. He's 40. So he played over 35s with us, and then went to 4th again to help one of his pals out, and he's coming back to the 35s, I think, this year. So
you're back to your team.
He is.
Jerry.
Sorry, exclusive. Nicky's coming back. He always comes back at the summer as well. So no doubt a minute. Was Jose there as well?
Jose, what a boy he is, but again, he was sort of coming to the end of his career, but some of the things he'd done on the football park was outrageous. But I think it's just because he was so laid back. He didn't care. Like, I cared. See, if I gave the ball away a few times, maybe I'll hide for 5 minutes. But he just didn't care. Did
you still follow on social media? Have you seen the shape of him?
He's unbelievable. I played. There was a Hamilton supporters game recently. He ended up dribbling all the way through the whole team and scoring, but he also did that a few times. He gave the ball, the boys were going mental. He's
two boys are good players. I know. I've just seen one name's moved to, I think he's in India or something.
We used him as a model actually for a wee bit. We did like a terrace collection at Morton, and he was one of the boys that were model. It was good.
He was good. So what did for Hamilton Accies? Was that the team David McFarlane that was in as well? Were you later than that?
I think
I was later than that. I think we went in the 2nd division. I think, like I say, Ronnie and that had taken over, and it was when Morton were flying, and they were so far ahead, and then they end up losing like literally every game after Christmas, and Airdrie won the league, and we got promoted sort of on the last day of the season up at Forfar.
It's a nice story there or something.
I'm not going to that story. That's not for me to talk about, mate. Do you know what I mean? But I heard there was a wee story there, but like I say, I don't know. But yeah, I can stay away from that one. But no, and then I think we did really well in the 1st division as well. But yeah,
did you go full time when it was there, or was that still part time?
No, there was talk. I think a few boys went full time the year after I left. I ended up signing for St Mirren.
Good move for you.
Yeah, great move.
What league were they in at the time, St Mirren?
I think when I went, they were okay, but the year I went, they brought in Charlie Adam, Kirk Broadfoot was there, John Sutton came in, and we won the league. I think at that point we won it by like a record points total. But so it was a right good season to be involved with them, and some good football, and we played really well. I really enjoyed that year as well.
Before Charlie Adam at Rangers then?
No, he was at Rangers. So he came on loan to St Mirren from Rangers. I think he was like 19 or something, and he'd done some fucking worldy things to win us games at times. I always remember we were up at Brecon. It was a horrible game. Like, I'm sure it was a night game. It was minging weather, and it was like a stalemate. And I remember just pinging this diagonal right over the defence to the back post. The boys headed it in. I think they won like 1-0 or something. He just do things like that, and you'd win us games. I think he went back the next season. He obviously went back to Rangers under Paul Le Guen. I think he was like Rangers' top goal scorer from the middle of the park. I could be wrong, but I think he scored like 12 to 15 goals that season for the middle of the park.
I've got a mate that's a big Blackpool fan, and they love him. I mean, they love him. They just don't. I mean, look at it. He moved to Liverpool and stuff. And Stoke, and he's obviously been really good.
Some move for him out, isn't it? Going to Liverpool.
I think that's it again. But we talk about on here how many boys go on loan and end up doing brilliant, and then moving on for it.
Would say that like get young boys out to whether it's juniors, whether it's.
Let's get some games, doesn't it? I think sometimes there's a perception when a young boy comes through and there's a boy in the first team ahead of them. I was like, there's a big gap, but I don't think there is a big gap. But it's probably just games and confidence, and then they go out on loan and they play games and they get confident. I don't think I would have gone through a youth team and a first team. Just my personality probably wouldn't have had the confidence to go from a youth team straight into a first team. But playing junior, playing lots of games, getting confidence, and sort of finding your feet at every level probably helped me.
The one I couldn't believe was Ryan Stevenson. He was on here, not the last show, the show before. He was at Chelsea. No, Chelsea put him out on loan. Hurlford Juniors.
Shut up.
Aye.
Wow.
So he went a lot of Hurlford Juniors.
Was he like homesick or something? Is that why?
Just because like Jim Duffy and Steve Clark and that were there, and they sort of knew they had contacts in Ayrshire, sent him up to Hurlford Juniors.
But he was like, 15. He's meant to go down there and go to school, and they just.
No, I feel as though he got better as his career went. I don't know if he just got a bit more sense, but I didn't see that podcast, to be fair. But I know of him because he was Kirk's.
Watched all of them.
I know, sorry, mate.
Yeah,
he was. I know, try to stay away from that. I like to not know what I'm going into. You know what I mean? But he was Kirk's good mate, wasn't he? Kirk Broadfoot. So I kind of knew of him and I sort of followed his career a wee bit. But he sort of, as he got older, he seemed to get better. Like I say, I don't know, sometimes a wee switch goes on with players, doesn't it?
I think with Ryan, his biggest thing was he was homesick. I mean, you could tell he left young, he didn't have family around about him, he was living in digs. I mean, John Terry and that was in his digs, do you know what I mean? So he had some experience, but he was saying I was so far away from everything that I think when he got home and got comfortable, that's probably when he started to see his career starting to.
When he was younger, he seemed like, I don't know, it felt like he wanted to be a tricky winger. Do you know what I mean? Like when you played against St Johnstone, but like later on in his career at Hearts especially, like, he was a big powerful boy, wasn't he? And he sort of probably did the simple thing and scored some good goals for them.
He did tell us, was it Ayr he started really going to the gym a lot, and after he said he knew there was a switch before he went.
He was good at Ayr, to be fair, wasn't he? So he was good at Ayr.
Did you get a chance to go down south at any stage?
There was a couple of opportunities. I always tell my agent talked about going to Notts County one year, and I think it was quite close in that, but then Sven Goran Eriksson came and took over, and then they were like, nah, we're not signing you, mate. Oh, okay, sorry. That was, I think that was probably, and I think there was Darlington or Doncaster as well, but that never came to anything, to be fair.
Is it something you'd like to have done, do you think?
I think when you look back on your career, it would be something. I had a couple of opportunities to go like to Ireland as well, like Derry City and stuff like that. But yeah, I just ended up staying in Scotland, and probably that thing I maybe could have pushed myself out there a wee bit. Like my business partner went away to play in Thailand, and I think that's some experience. I maybe would have liked to have done that looking back when you don't have any responsibilities. But
how did he say that was? Thailand, is that the way did they love it?
Unbelievable.
What's that from a football point of view?
I think everything.
Lifestyle.
They're his stories to tell me. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. But, you said it's quite. I went out to see him, obviously, at some place. It's like in the middle of it. He was like, I think he when he first went over, I remember him phoning me, and he was a bit like, "What the fuck have I done?" He said he tells me a story. He was like training. I think it was like 42 degrees, like ridiculous, like sweating. Just this wee skinny guy for A-lift. Do you know what I mean? And he went into the, I think he was like, I need the toilet, and he said he went to the changing room, he was just sitting in the toilet like, what the fuck have I done? But I think he had a cousin over there that lived in Bangkok, and slowly just got more and more used to it, and he loved it.
So how did you know Robbo then?
St Mirren. So when I was at St Mirren, a boy called Andy Dorman came, right good player, ended up playing at Crystal Palace. I was best mates with him, and then when I left, Robbo basically sort of replaced me. He came in as a sort of like left back, left winger when I'd gone back to Hamilton, and we just all sort of became pals, and we're all meeting up after training, sort of try to come up with ideas of what we're going to do after football a wee bit, to be honest.
AG Payroll are delighted to be sponsoring Boots to Ballon. Myself and Faddy are having a great time interviewing all these footballers and ex-footballers. But just to tell you a bit about what AG Payroll do, we provide payroll services for contractors in the UK, which is CIS, Umbrella and Bureau services, but we also can provide payroll services in over 160 countries worldwide. So if you need any help, give me a shout, and I'll let you get on with the show.
Called it the Coffee Club. There was me, Andy Dorman, Robbo, Stephen McGinn, and the boy Mark Howard.
So I seen you on his podcast. He was at Wrexham, wasn't he?
I don't think he was at Wrexham at that point, was he? He might have been.
He was because he was at Mirren Hughes, wasn't he? And then he ended up there.
So I think he gone down a few. I think he was at Sheffield United, maybe. He's done some decent clubs in that. Mate, honestly, right good goalie. When he was at St Mirren, he was young, so he had a wee mistake in him. But great feet. Great shot stopper. He's obviously gone on to have he came for Arsenal, I think, because he was at Arsenal.
That sounds a bit like me you were talking about.
Chris is like Wikipedia goalkeepers. He's like, kicked the ball, he's left foot, wasn't he? Alright, Chris.
That was a great goal. I mind he came. St Mirren, he done really well at the time.
He did really well. It was the boy, him and Chris Smith were sort of, he was a right good goalie as well. Kind of different goalkeepers. Like a chomp with Mark Howard, he had great technique, and Chris probably didn't have as good a technique, but he was a big physical
Good
boy,
shot
came for
stopper, I
crosses
remember.
and good shot stopper. But Mark Howard used to love talking about, I was with Thierry Henry and Bergkamp and that.
That's Nicky Patterson as well.
Aye.
He loves the name drop. I wrote down when I seen the Mark Howard one as well. I think he was during that period. Imagine being part of that, because he was on the Wrexham show and stuff like that. He was in the team a few times. Even that as an experience must have been.
I think it was. I didn't speak too much to him about Wrexham. Obviously, still, if I spoke to him, I saw him. But I don't keep too much in touch with him. But obviously, again, follow him on socials. I think they went away and did like a five-a-side thing in America.
As well.
And then he said he was talking about, obviously they took them all to Vegas and that. He said it was unbelievable. He said they were just like, because of who, obviously Ryan Reynolds, they're just going in backstages and through back doors and end up in like clubs, and just said it was unbelievable.
What age was that you were doing that coffee club then?
Oh, must have been like, who would I have been at?
So if it was St Mirren, it was 2005, 2008,
Nah,
you went
it
back
would have been-
2008, 2009 Hamilton.
It would have been Hamilton or Partick Thistle I would have been at, because I got a bad injury at Hamilton and then I went to Partick Thistle, and that's probably what my mindset. Aye, because it was like they were talking at first about breaking my pelvis and twisting it, like they were saying my joint was too shallow, so they were like, you need to break your pelvis, and I was like, what the fuck? No chance. But then eventually they just trimmed my cartilage and they were like, did a thing, I think, what was it, rhinoplasty or something? They drill holes to sort of blood barrier form to protect your hip. But I came back, but I don't know. I don't know if I was ever really the same.
A lot of people say that, don't they?
I was still quick, but I think I was playing in pain pretty much all the way through, and even at the end of my career I was taking like 12 painkillers a day just to get training. I'd retired, to be honest. I know obviously we're jumping about here a bit, but I'd retired and I went again, not knowing what I was going to do at the end of my career. I was like, my mum was like, I'll give you money to do your B licence, and at least you'll have something. And I went and did my B licence, and Faz was on the B licence. And I'd not done anything for ages, so I felt alright, and I was joining in the coaching, like the sessions, and he was like, mate, you've still got a bit, go and come to Stranraer. I was like, mate, I've retired, my hip's fucked. And he was like, just come along. So obviously went along. First month, training twice a week, playing on a Saturday. Second month, training once a week, playing on a Saturday. Third month, playing on a Saturday. Fourth month, done. Do you know what I mean?
But then now you've had the op, now you're still playing over 35, so it must be alright now.
It was just the pain, so it's still not 100%. I don't feel like I've got like, I don't know, you were saying you tore like, so basically the thing that really ended my career was, it was painful, but I was taking painkillers to get through training, but I had like a 8 to 10 or 12 centimetre tear up from like the top of my thigh right up into my like abductor or something, and I had to like literally lift my leg up onto things, and I never came back for that, to be honest.
Wears you down a wee bit as well, doesn't it? See, try to come back for injury all the time, it just gets.
And even now, that's the issue. Do you know what I mean? Even now, that's the thing that causes me issue. I
don't know what you're like, but even now, like when I'm playing, since I've done that, I don't fully put my foot through the ball, and I'm left-footed, so I always need to come back at my right and stuff, because I don't fully feel comfortable.
I don't actually kick the. I can't kick the ball. If I feel as if I kick the ball, I couldn't anyway in my career, could I? But if I kick the ball with my right now, I actually think it would just take like.
I think you 2 years off your nut still playing, but that's another story.
Just try to stay fit, mate.
I know, but there's other ways.
I
know. I tried to, mate. The grey beard's not helping that.
So obviously, St Mirren on to back to Hamilton again, but Partick Thistle, I mean, were these all? I take it when you back to Hamilton the second time, was that full time this time?
Yeah. So when they went into the Premier League, Ronnie, I'd got on really well with Ronnie McDonald, the chairman at Hamilton, and I got a lot to thank him from taking me for junior, and he'd been on every year, come back, and I was like, look, I'm in the Premier League with St Mirren, and I can't come back. And then the first year they went up, he convinced me to go back, and unfortunately it didn't work out how I would have wanted it to be fair, with the injury. But I had a really good side going up. Boy Richie Offion was playing up top. Boy James McCarthy got Young Player of the Year that year. James McArthur was in the side, Alex Neil, Mark McLaughlin.
Was David Winters there then? David used to tell me that he left. David used to tell me stories about the boys, like how good they were young.
Well, I played in the game that James McArthur made his debut at Clyde. It was the first time round, and then I'd gone away and I came back, and what a player he was. You can even tell in that the game he made his debut. He ran training as well. He was brilliant in training.
He said to us he actually thought he was like Steven Gerrard. That's a compliment he gave him when he was young.
See the players you've just mentioned in Hamilton, Accies been in the Premier League all the years. All the money they must have made out, and look at the nick they're in the now.
They're in some state, aren't they?
I've been trying to get probably throwing him under the bus here, but
Anyway.
let's just go for it. No,
It's not like you, mate, throw the folk under the bus.
I won't. I've been trying to get ranks on here, but I don't think he can say too much about it. There's definitely a story there.
He changed the story on that one. Somebody was talking to me, I think it was Big Woodsy yesterday, it's his boy a player.
Who's that?
The ranks, has he got a boy? He said he's meant to be unbelievable.
Aye. He used to come into Clyde and ping the ball a bit.
Apparently he's doing, I think he's at Rangers or something, he's doing really well.
I think he's flying.
Aye.
If he's got his dad's attitude.
That's me changing the subject before you get ranks.
See ranks, I mean, talking about fitness, oh my God.
Machine, was he?
See when we were at Clyde and he was the oldest player, he's about 39, he used to just take his top off and just be absolutely ripped. But he never drank alcohol. He'd one takeaway a year and his treat was a cup of tea on a Saturday night.
There you go.
I always remember the story. Everyone used to say he wouldn't eat anything, like he'd just have his 3 meals a day, and then at like Christmas he'd treat himself to a McDonald's or something.
His attitude.
That's some attitude, man. Fair
I
play.
don't know how
Fair play. Is it no?
Nah, well, I've changed a bit. I'm hitting the gym a wee bit now, but
If you take your top off, is that a six pack, mate?
Do you know the real story behind that is because the first couple of times you come on here, people are slotting them sitting next to me, they're like, you're sitting for a team photo.
2 stone wet through, aye. That's what Ranks actually said. He said, going to cross your legs, you look like you're getting elephant boys. I'll fucking sit out alone.
So for Chris's elephant boys to Partick
Nice
Thistle.
move on.
So boys in that team, I think I must have knew a few of them as well. Was big Skinner there. You see, there's a young boy maybe around about that age. Willie Kinneborough was another one.
I'm not gonna lie, mate. That year's probably a year of my career I want to forget.
Is it that bad?
To be fair, it was all right. It was all right. Boy Liam Buchanan, he was a good player. The boy Paul, he went on. He ended up at Hibs.
Paul Kearney,
what a boy he is! Player. But he was probably a better player than he ever really realised because he was. Bit of a screwball, wasn't it? Just aye. And
there's a few of them, isn't there? There's always a common story.
Paul I remember he turned. Talking about Paul Kane, he turned up on. We were going to a game somewhere, and he turned up like. At that time, obviously, you had to bring your own pre-match. Do you know what I mean? So boys were bringing a wee bit of pasta. He turns up with a steak, bacon, a sausage roll. Like, mate, he's like, I've got my pre-match. You're like, fucking hell, man.
Just didn't do any better.
That's the thing. He didn't. Do you know what I mean? And then of Paul Payton, he went on to have a right good career. He was a good player, good player. Played right back when he was at Partick, and then not playing.
See, when you say that's a year to forget, because I know the Thistle fans can be quite nasty. Because I've had Mitch was there and a couple of other guys, and they can really be on your side, but when things go against you, they can really turn on you. Was it more to do with that?
The fans were all right, just other things, mate. The fans were fine in that, and to be honest, I'll say it, but it was probably like I'm a winger, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm probably the type of player that needs a bit of an arm around me. Do you know what I mean? I'm not even going to deny that. And when Jerry Britton was there, he'd be the boy that'd put his arm around me and be like, by the way, you're going to score today. You're going to be brilliant today. But see, when he left, it was just like players and McCall. And like McCall on a Saturday was right up for it, but he wasn't like, oh, you're going to be good today or anything. Like, he's probably the opposite. Like that was fucking shite, and it just that just didn't suit me as a person or a player. Do you know what I mean?
But we talk about that loads on the show, don't we? About man management, and every player we've had on, they talk about 2 or 3 managers that they absolutely loved, and it's all to do with man management. So.
And it's probably you're right. A lot of the time, it's probably you're in the team or not in the team as well. Do you know what I mean? Like I love the Willie McStay came to Ross County for a bit, and he only got like 9 games. I think he drew 6 of them and won. Like he didn't have a great, but I really liked him because he actually, the first time in my whole career, I think it must have been like 29, 30, we were doing stuff in training that was like specific to what you did in the game. So he'd be like, as a winger, I'd be like, right, we'll get the ball out to you, and then it's like goes out the winger, and then you've got to take him on and get a cross in. Do you know what I mean? And it was like things like that. I'd never come through a youth system, so I'd never got that, and that was the first time
felt developed. Because I know. Loads of people that played under Willie and they all love him.
Yeah. Well, he was my youth team coach at Celtic. I don't know if I told you about that.
No, he's doing Celtic.
I need to draw that in once an episode.
I think he was a great coach, a brilliant coach. I just don't know if... and I don't, and that's not an insult. I think he was almost too nice a person to be a manager. Do you know what I mean? I remember him pulling me in one time and saying, "Look, I'm really sorry. Like, you've been doing brilliant, but I need to try and change something. I'm going to leave you out." And I remember thinking that was quite nice, but you don't have to apologise for it. You're the manager. Do you know what I mean? I just think that he was just a nice person, and sometimes as a manager, you need to have a bit more ruthlessness
it's like
about
guys like Ian Cathro, and there's been a few out there that are just good coach. I don't know. I think Sean Maloney might be a wee bit like that as well.
Yeah.
Just sort of just good coaches.
Just
but they
good
need
coaches.
that.
And everyone's got their sort of skill set, haven't they? Like managers, maybe, I don't know, I've never done it and I don't think I'll ever want to, but they maybe have to be a little bit more ruthless, a bit more like, I don't know, a bit more bulletproof. And then the coaches want to be everyone's pal and get the best out of you and bring you on as a player.
So when I was at Clyde, Danny Lennon let us take the reserves in the Glasgow Cup, me and Murray, but see that standing up in front of the dressing room.
Aye.
And that whole change of dynamic that you're actually standing in the middle, you're doing a team talk before it. It's fucking hard.
Do you not obviously
completely, and see actually doing that. And
see, before I had the business, I'd never ever would have been able to do that. Not even like boys probably look at me in my career and go, how have you got a business? Like I was quite quiet, do you know what I mean? I wasn't like the forefront of like banter and I join in, but I wouldn't be like stand up. I feel as though now you've done it, you could, and I don't know about you, obviously having your own business, it probably helps.
No, you're good at it as well. You're good.
Actually, because we've changed it.
Because we've changed seasons. Because your pals in the leader. No, but you're good at that stuff. Now you stand up in front of rooms, day ball on talk as well.
Everything's to do with confidence, isn't it? The more you do it, the more.
One of the best people I've come across as Faz. I thought Faz was unbelievable.
We'll jump into
unbelievable
that later, but his speech before that Rangers game,
just before every game, you were running through. You'd run through a brick wall for him. Do you know what I mean? His speeches before games were unbelievable, weren't they?
I still saved them from relegation.
So Ross County, I mean, you did 3 years up there. How did you enjoy that?
See the club and the football, unbelievable. Like really good. Really enjoyed it. The facilities were good. Some people may or may not like Derek Adams or whatever because of what happened, but I thought he was a good manager. He was good to me. Do you know what I mean? The boys were great. The football was great. I found it difficult living up there. I was like single. We were just put in a flat. That was probably a bit of a bad time, like personal wise for me. Just felt a bit isolated for everyone. I'd lived in Edinburgh, I'd lived in Glasgow, and then I was up there. I was up and down the road a lot, so that probably didn't help my football, but I did well up there. I played quite a lot of games, and we won the league. But I found it difficult living up there on my own. Do you know what I mean?
Different world, isn't it?
Aye. I always said if that club was taken from where it was and put in the central belt, what a club it would be.
Do you remember the two boys? I don't even know their names, but there was nothing to do up there, as you said, and I think they were like on the sneaky going to the bingo. Right? And the bingo boys at Ross County, and they ended up, no, right, don't tell them, they will just go to the bingo. They ended up winning the jackpot, and it was ending up the front page. Everybody was slaughtering them.
Because obviously, I knew that because David, as I said before, David was one of my mates who grew up together, but he was up there for a while. He used to come up and do that, but he used to do up there quite a wee bit. But he said the club was massive again.
Aye. I love golf now, so I'm right into golf, but I feel as though if I'd liked it then it would have been better as well, because I've got some right good golf courses up there, but there was nothing for me to do. Like I say, I was on my own, I was single, I found it difficult.
And then it was literally down to Stranraer. Did you go Stenhousemuir on loan? Was that just for a few games?
Stenhousemuir on loan, but I was miles off it, mate. Like my hip was really bad at that point, and that's when I think we'd gone into the Premier League with Ross County, and I'd come off the bench against Motherwell and Aberdeen, then I started against Celtic. We'd done really well, drew 0-0 up there, and then I started against Dundee, played really well. We were 1-1-0, but the ball came over my head, and as it came down, I sort of controlled it away for the boy, and I just felt something go in my, we're talking about a hip flexor, and I came off, and it was all right. He took me off for I played on, came off with maybe 10 minutes to go, and then I was just icing it, and it felt all right. But like I say, the next day, just couldn't lift my leg. So I was out from basically then until I came back on Boxing Day. I think we played Celtic at Parkhead, and I was on the bench, and even then I was nervous because I knew, and he brought me on, and I think we were 2-0 down at the time, and Ambrose, Commons, Samaras maybe, and somebody else, they just all felt as though they came over. It was me and the boy Mark Fitzpatrick, and I just felt as though they all just came over at my side of the park, and I just felt I felt miles off, and I knew then I was just I'm done. So I think I actually went back, and I think I went into the gaffer and just said to him, look, I want to go part-time. I saw the writing on the wall a little bit, and I thought if I get to the end of the season, I think my contract was up at the end of the season. I thought if I get to the end of the season, I've got nothing. Then what do I do? Whereas if I can go and get a part time, maybe training twice a week will help. I can sort of maybe drop down to that level, and it'll probably selfishly probably knew I couldn't play if I'm being honest. But I thought maybe if I can get a wee part time wage and I can get a job, it'll give me a little bit of transition from going from one to nothing. So.
And then you were saying you went in your coaching course, you met Faz and you ended up at Stranraer.
Stranraer, aye.
How good was Stranraer?
It was good, mate, to be fair. It was good. Again, all the boys were brilliant, weren't they?
Amazing.
I played with loads of them. Craig Malcolm, Sean Winter. Sean Winter's actually just came to our 35. You see
he was there. He was there. Sean was good, wasn't he?
He's come down.
But I think, like, obviously, talking about combinations, like Stevie Aiken and Faz were a brilliant combination. Stevie's just a really good man, really good manager. Had an eye for a player.
I played him, was good.
And then Faz, as we talked about, his speeches and his coaching and all that.
Faz was excellent, to be
fair. Frank there as well when you were there.
Frank, Tiff, Sparky,
Scotty Robertson,
Grant Gallagher. Big Paulo, we can't miss him out. He'll fall out with us.
Would you then if he can do
No, he didn't come. He came the season after.
Mark Doherty as well. I was at St Mirren with him.
Ryan Boris. Characters.
It was great.
We were. I would probably say we did the least budget in the league. In fact, I don't actually know the figures for that season because I found at the end of the season our budget that season was £80,000.
Oh, was it?
And Rangers were in the league and theirs was 7.8 million.
I remember the boy. Was it Mojny came down? He was like, "Oh, you're celebrating a draw," and I'm like, "Mate, you've got to realise who you're playing against here." Do you know what I mean? Like a draw's a big result for Stranraer against
because
Rangers.
That was huge. Because Rangers been in that league. That's the reason I went there. Actually, was just to be involved in the games against Rangers. But because Stranraer is obviously Belfast or the Rangers fans, so the games at Stranraer against Rangers were unbelievable.
They were good, weren't they?
And then the ones at Ibrox that we'll go into as well were pretty decent as well.
To be fair, that was quality.
Watched them because there was so many of the guys that most of them, a few of them are my teammates at Atherley, so they all came. I think the connection must have been Ginge. It took them down there because it was Craig Malcolm, Sean, Frank. They all came from Atherley. I used to watch the Rangers games and they were class, man. He's giving their own for money.
Both games. I remember was it start of the season we played them down there, didn't they? And did we do all right? I think we got beat 1-0 or something.
We done all right. And I remember we played Hibs at Easter Road and they beat us.
Done really well. It was like late on, wasn't it? Late on, they scored a couple of goals late on, didn't they?
Scored a couple of worldies.
Scored a worldie.
Belters for the 30 yards. I'm sure he scored maybe a hat trick that night, but it was under the lights and it was like 1-0, 1 each, 2-1.
It was quality that game as well.
At the end. But I'm smiling here because I'm just thinking about the Christmas night out
in Belfast. That was good, wasn't it?
So
can you tell stories on that?
Probably, but the build up to that was brilliant because the thing with that dressing room, it was such a good dressing room. Everybody was getting fined for everything, right? So we'll just try to build the kit up.
That was a good. The kit was decent, to be fair.
It was brilliant, right? But then the 8 games before the Christmas night out, Big Franco, I think it was, see the captain, Franco?
Frank was the captain,
He managed to negotiate that we get £500 a win. And we went on a run. We won every game up to the Christmas night out. We went to Belfast with about $7,000 in the kitty, and we went.
I'd not played a game. Since about August or something. I was like, yes, there we go.
Wasn't even a night out. We were there for 3 days. Right?
It was wild.
We're literally going like getting up, having a beer, been on it till like 2 a.m, getting up, right? So constantly for 3 days we were drinking, and I mean this was like the 21st of December. We got up the road on the 24th of December. We were playing Rangers at Ibrox on the 26th, right? And we were like, what do you think? We'll get pumped. 7-8, 9-0, right? Listen, they'll be running about, they'll be popping us everywhere. They get a dodgy penalty in the first half, right? That Ian Black dived. And then they were hanging on. It was 1-0, and I always remember this. Lee McCulloch ran the ball into the corner to time waste.
I remember that.
The Rangers fans were booing him. And somebody took it off at face Stranraer, bang in the middle, out to the
Andy
wing.
Sterling, wasn't it?
Andy Sterling crossed in, and Jamie Longworth.
I was right behind. I was in the dugout right behind that, and he just lifted it in the corner, and all the boys. All the boys went fucking medal.
Dropped that season, I think.
He's a good lad, Jam, aren't he?
Aye, great lad.
I was actually talking to him 3 weeks ago because we started doing a lot of work in Dubai, getting players moving from here to Dubai. Jam is there. So he was introducing me to a few people before Donald Trump started.
What's he doing over there?
He's a teacher.
Good.
But he was playing, I think he went to, there's a club over there called Dubai Irish. He introduced me, so he was trying to still play, but I think like always he's a bit older now.
See, talking about that night out, that's how Be Inspired started as well, because I had all the boys. I made a fortune at that night. Every single one of the boys was cutting about Be Inspired stuff in Belfast.
I'm still due royalties. Who was your first ever model for Be Inspired?
Oh, I don't know if I call you a model, mate. I don't know.
It was a picture of me and Gal, and we had remember your first t-shirt?
It was the tartan sleeve.
We were standing breathing in that.
All the
I
think 20 boys had a tartan sleeve t-shirt on the night out, didn't they?
You still remember you'd like 4 designs, didn't you? The one with the tartan, the one with the football pitch on it.
The pitch, the football.
Roberto Baggio.
This week's episode is sponsored by Biba Travel. Biba Travel is a company that we use all the time at Pitch to Placements. They do the private minibus hires, they do the executive travel to the airport, etc. We use them all the time for our clients. They've just brought in a new fleet as well, which has the kind of champagne tables, etc. in the middle of the minibus. They're a brilliant service. It's an ex-teammate of mine, brilliant guy, Billy. Please look at his social media. You'll get them on Instagram, etc. I'll post them all in the comments. Billy, thanks for your support this week. And then let's get back to the episode.
Well, we had like a Legends inspired. We sort of blurred it out. It wasn't Roberto Baggio.
No, it wasn't.
Roberto Baggio. No, it's soccer days, remember that? That's class.
No, it was brilliant. So just that whole season was
class,
amazing. And obviously with Dunfermline in the league and Rangers in the league who were full time. I'm sure we beat Ross County that season as well. We were in the Premier League.
I'm sure a few of your boys get moved.
We're down there, wasn't I remember.
Big Paolo scored a couple in that game.
I got your boys not get moves after that season. Because I think I know Malkid went to Ayr at some point. Frank must have went to Great Morton.
Did Andy Stirling not go somewhere as well? Andy Stirling was really good that year.
He was really went to Rangers that year, Andy Stirling.
Yeah, he was really good that year. Really good.
But that was a great season. Great boys and obviously great.
It was like the crazy gang, wasn't it? It's like the Stranraer crazy gang.
I spoke to Tiff and Tiff's trying to bring that back to Stranraer just now because we trained through in Glasgow and then we get the bus for Darnley through to Stranraer and it's like that road never ending, which was horrendous on the way down. But the way back, you used to go up to the bar, fill your bag full of beers and then
I remember stopping off at Offies and that again.
I tell you the biggest shock for me with that was I think he was your teammate and I love Malky to death, but see the difference in him if you know having a drink with him, you ever drink with me is I switched him. It's hilarious. He came up to me one time, we were playing with Athley, I can't remember where it was, but he was dead quiet when he first came and we all went out in a drink and the next man, I think he had his tap half, he had his trousers, he's folded them up, he's getting us to
there's a few boys like that, isn't there? There's a few boys like that.
He's a top boy. Some player by the way, what a finisher as well.
I never played with him. He came the year after My Belly, remember Belly signed and he'd done his Achilles and he'd done really well for us as well, didn't he?
But no, good. Just shows you like don't need a big budget. We just had a good crazy gang, but some good
great atmosphere
in there.
Takes a long way sometimes.
We got into that, like I remember the bus journeys and we'd be sitting on the bus and you'd just started be inspired and you'd be like ping ping and I'd be like just sold a t-shirt buzzing because you just sold that
we sold half of them at the back of the motor, didn't we, at training? I'd be coming back. I think we called it like a whoopsie box or something, see like it was returns or like there's a wee thing I'd bring it in the back of the motor. Training boys would be helping themselves.
But again you obviously had your eye on the business world and that, but probably going to like how you and Robbo started that, because I remember you telling me about how much money you started it with and obviously Robbo's connection, but you're better telling your
so like I was saying before, Robbo was playing over in Thailand and I'd always been on it. I'm like, so it could be something over there like that we could sell here. I always remember the story. It was a boy Brian Christie that brought Denta White from like America. He'd seen like a teeth whitening thing in America and he brought over and he'd done really well for it, and obviously I didn't end up doing something like that, but I would always say to Robbo, there must be something in Thailand that you can maybe see that we could bring it over here. And I'd been on it for a couple of years. He was too busy enjoying himself to care, but and then he's like, oh, there's this stall we can get these t-shirts and they're like £2 and we can maybe sell them for like £20 on eBay or whatever. So they were just like this, like there's a big sort of, I don't know, like a sort of shopping centre, but a big high-rise shopping centre, but it was like little sort of stalls and factories almost that were just showing their goods, and he used to go there. I think it was called Nana Plaza, and he ended up becoming pals with this guy, and he made these t-shirts for like clubs in IB for DC10, so he did their merchandise, but he had all these designs, so he was sending them to us. Well, Robbo was picking them up, sending them to me, and I was just putting them on eBay, and we were doing quite well. I think we were selling like maybe, I don't know, 500 or 1,000 t-shirts a month, do you know what I mean, but like cheap. And the guy was like, I think you should start your own brand. And me and Rob were like, how do you do it? At that point, like everyone's doing it nowadays, but at that point we're like, how do you do that? Like, how can you start your own brand? So he ended up helping us out with like 25 of a style each. We got the labels, labelled them up, printed them up. I remember the first ones we ever did were like, I basically designed them on my iPhone, sent them to Robbo, and the boys like, what's that? I can't do anything with that. So he ended up helping us out, like sort of like fixing it and managing to get this blurry design on a t-shirt that Robbo ended up sending to me, and we ended up selling them and giving them to boys like, I think at the time Charlie Mulgrew, James McCarthy was down at Everton, Stephen Naismith, and a few other Celtic boys and that. And it was probably the like influencer marketing to start with. They sort of did the job for us, and we end up selling out with them and just sort of growing for there. But like as you say, I think we started with 300 quid each or something. We just both put 300 quid in, got 25.
You saying that,
100 t-shirts it was, 25 of each style.
So you tell him, the thing I'm interested in hearing that, because obviously what we do in the business is I'm interested in that transition to football, because I know you came out of that. It sounds like you were maybe ahead of it a wee bit, because you were thinking about what was next. It sounds like a couple of times through your career. Not everybody we speak to is like that. I
think you were thinking about it, but it's still a shock. Do you know what I mean? When I left Ross County and I came down the road and I was at Stenhousemuir at the time, I end up I don't know. I think it was like, look, nothing's going to happen. Like at the end of the season, I was playing with an injury basically, and miles off it. And I remember like when we'd had that conversation, I think I was just sort of sitting about thinking, what am I going to do? Like, obviously I've been trying to sort of come up with things, and what am I going to do? And I think I was basically a week away from having to move out of my flat and move back on my parents, like couldn't. And luckily I'd got a job with Reed. I'd been obviously going for interviews and trying to get a job, and Reed Recruitment gave me a job as I was recruiting for IFAs.
This guy's made you.
So he keeps telling me.
How did you find that?
I don't thank you for that. To be fair, it was actually all right, and I think I could have made some decent money off it. I remember like placing like 3 or 4 like I remember going in. So basically I went into the interview and I spoke to them, and they were like, I think you'd be quite good at this because you've been through football, and I kind of felt like being a bit of an agent for an IFA. And he said obviously IFAs have got quite big incomes, and they come with sort of like, they come with like sort of packages. If they've got loads of clients, they kind of get moved about and stuff like that. So I ended up sort of placing 3 or 4, and I probably would have been due a wee bit of commission off that. But the businesses sort of started to take off, and Robbo was getting boxes sent to Thailand to the Reed Recruitment's office, mate. Do you know what I mean? And like there was like 5 boxes, like big boxes of stuff turning up, and they're like,
it's not the worst thing I've heard saying in recruitment offices to be
true.
So you'll be all right,
but then they were sending the VAT letters there as well, and that was getting a bit. So I think we were there for like 6 months, and Rob would sort of come back as well. He was working in sports careers. Don't know if you would know. It was like working for somebody sort of doing CVs and stuff. I don't think he really had his heart in that as well. So we kind of thought, well, let's just give it a try, and we just sort of went for it. Really, to be fair, I think we were turning over like £300 a day, and we were like buzzing off that. So,
but again, I think what's amazing is that you went into this fashion world with absolutely no experience, just with a good attitude, a couple of £100, couple of good contacts, good network, and then you've sort of built it for there. So,
I think well, like, people will probably say my gear's a bit dodgy, but I always had a wee sort of eye, do you know what I mean, on what I like to wear, and my sort of friend group's quite fashion conscious as well, so we always had an eye on what I like to wear, and sort of different things. So yeah, I think that was one sort of side of things, but I think at the end of the day it was like a necessity to make it work. I didn't have anything else, do you know what I mean? I think like they obviously say when you're rock bottom, that's when some things happen, do you know what I mean? Because you've got no other way but to make it work, and we just sort of took a chance, and boys were looked like happy enough, or we were thankful for boys helping us out at that time. Influence obviously now take money and things like that, but at that point it was just boys we'd played with, and we were just sending them a t-shirt, and they were putting on Facebook at the time. It wasn't even Instagram, and that really helped us early
quite
doors.
Interested in that, because obviously the last 15 years of my life I've been growing and scaling sales teams, and Chris will tell you that one of my biggest things is sales and marketing working together. It sounds like, did you do that just by chance, getting the marketing? Because the marketing side's obviously been huge for you, grown.
Yeah.
Or did you have an idea that would work?
I think just like we got. So basically, the idea of Be Inspired started because we couldn't design. So we designed these like 4 T-shirts, and at the time, Herbalife was a big thing. So like these are all the ideas that were sort of
that was on Stranraer everywhere, wasn't it?
We were all seeing I look at pictures of us. We were all walking about like 8 stone.
just drinking shakes all day.
That's Herbalife's brilliant. Like 1 meal a day.
Steph was talking about it as well. Wasn't he? Big Frank was involved.
He was all over it, wasn't he? But yeah, that was a big thing then. So like you're just trying to sort of piece things together. So like, right, we'll inspire people to design for us. So we'll run a competition this was our idea. So we'll run a competition every month for designs. The winner will get make 100 of those T-shirts. We'll give them like 25 or 50 to sell their pals or do whatever they want to, and we'll take 50 and sell them online. We'd made 100 T-shirts, 25 of each design, and I think we sold them in a week. So we were like, well, we'll bin that idea. And then it just sort of snowballed like that. And then we got introduced to somebody to sort of run our website, a boy called Andrew Goldie. He was from Tayport where I grew up. I didn't know him, but it was just sort of weird, sort of like coincidences. And then we started speaking to him, and he was doing the website, and he could code, and he was good on the computer, like self-taught. And then me and Robbo would be like, oh, I've seen this thing on Facebook where I went on this website and then I'm getting hit with this advert. How do we do that? And then he'd be like, right, well, let's try and find out. So then we'd find out, and then he'd do an advert, and it was just a lot of that. Do you know what I mean? We're like,
trial and error.
So we were making designs and trial and error and that, and then we'd be looking at what other people are doing. Like, can we take about that? Can we take about that? Can we take about that? And see if it worked for us. And then it just sort of grew like that. And then we'd add a designer in, and we get better designs. And then we had the boy Bradley Coyne. He was a model to start with, and then we were like, no disrespect to Bradley, can we get a better model? And then we got a better model, and it was just all little incremental like increases
like
of
gains,
getting better all the time. And it just really, really snowballed really fast.
So talk about how you went from 300 quid in your bank, back of fag paper stuff, to Messi wearing one of your T-shirts. That's a wild story, to be fair. When you play football, when you start something like that, you never think that boys are going to be wearing your product. You just try to sell a few T-shirts to people, and then more and more footballers started wearing it. So the Messi thing happened because I think it was it was when Stephen went down basically to watch the Liverpool game, and it was through Andy Robertson. So him and his missus went down, and Andy Robertson bought product, like, to actually just when he was at Hull, he just used to buy stuff. So we were like we'll send you some stuff down when he's at Liverpool. And then he was like, I'm coming down to a game, can you get me a ticket? So he got me a ticket, but it was like to the players' lounge. Right. So Robbo went in with his missus, and at the time Philip Coutinho was like, there was big rumours of him going to Barcelona, and he was like injured. He was a man at that point. He was injured, right? So I had a bad back. Yeah. So he was in the players' lounge, and I think Robbo ended up speaking to him, and his brother was there, and I think his brother was maybe his agent, and they just ended up speaking. I think it's Robbo's missus at the time was Thai, and obviously when they see like famous people, they're like proper like in awe of them, and she was like, I want a photo of him. So she went and got a photo, and then Robbo ended up seeing it. I wouldn't do that because I'm a bit like, I don't want, but they're like, no, I want that photo. So she went and got that photo. So then Robbo ended up speaking to his brother, who's the agent. He was like, oh, I've got a clothing brand. He's like, oh, really? Like, show us. So he's showing on the website. He's like, oh, that looks brilliant. Can Philip get some? And he's like, yeah, just send us your address and we'll send it. So we end up selling it to Phil Coutinho. Firmino was in it at Liverpool, and somebody else, like obviously Robbo was wearing it. And then Phil Coutinho went to Barcelona, and we were still sending him stuff. And then he's like, look, Suarez and Messi want a package. And we're like, not a problem. So we end up just sending stuff over. I think we send one to every player, like a bag of stuff just with stuff written on, like, there you go. You were sending them to Xavi and Iniesta and all that, like
everyone. But so we end up, the first person that was in it was Suarez. So I think Iniesta left, and they did this big video of his life at Barcelona, and Suarez has got the big B33 t-shirt on in the video, like this is going to be about. And then I think Messi got the Ballon d'Or, and like Suarez wasn't at it, but it popped up on, they go on the screen to say like, oh, I was being great, and he's got a B33 trachea on the screen at the Ballon d'Or, and we're like, that's fucking class. Me and Robbo buzzing. And then I think it was like Boxing Day or something like that, or Christmas Day. Messi's obviously flying home to his family, and
the boy that Robbo, I think it was Coutinho's brother, sent him a picture, and it was like Messi at the airport just about to get on his private jet with the B33 t-shirt and flying home for.
I mean, that's just.
I'm like, that's wild, man, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Take it at the very end, you just went to town with that picture and just
we put it a few places, mate. As you wish.
If Messi and
Roberto, it's like if you could have sat in front of you in a boardroom and went, what player would you want? Him and Ronaldo's what you're looking at, and you managed to get it right down through.
And it wasn't just him. Obviously, that was a big thing, and everyone talks about that. But like, we had just so many players wearing this stuff at that time. It was just like, obviously fashion changes, but that time it was like
Robbo was the very first person I seen with being inspired stuff on.
I remember
I can't remember what he was on. He was either coming off a plane or something, and he had the logo and stuff on, because he's obviously.
There's boys all over the world, like Perotti at Roma, and then there was like boys in Germany. Just it was just wild who we had.
I remember watching the X Factor, and you had all the X Factor contestants.
We were actually talking about that the other day. So there was a boy. I was in that. They made that band up, and I can't remember what he's like. There's a boy Chet's get, but there's another boy, and it was his brother, and he had big blonde hair and that, and it was on Saturday night, like on X Factor, and they're all wearing it on the stage and that, and like we were just thinking about that the other day, like to get on that's like wild, isn't it? Like couldn't you get on that now? Do you know what I mean? At that point, it was
11,
so big.
12 million people somewhat watching it.
It was crazy.
And then also there's another wee football connection just came to me there. You end up becoming the official partner of Brentford, didn't you?
So yeah, there's we did like it was like their fashion collection. So the boy, I think he was at Arsenal and he went to Brentford, but he used to, like the commercial director, I would say, but he used to buy Be Inspired stuff all the time. He loved it, and he bought it himself. And then when he went to Brentford, he was like, well, Be Inspired and Brentford, there's got to be a connection there. So he reached out, and we ended up making like their heritage collection. So they were just taking Be Inspired stuff and then just putting their like Brentford badge on it, and it was like their sort of fashion wear. So they all had a sponsor with Umbro, so we had to be kind of careful what we made for them. But I think they went away. They went away to Dubai on like a pre-season or like a mid-season tour, and they just in their downtime they were just cutting about and Be Inspired like shorts and a t-shirt, and like before games and stuff like that.
That's cool.
It was class, to be fair.
And obviously the football side of things, you started out with probably your best looking model you've ever had, and then you sort of went downhill from there. But you've always
he's got a straight face, doesn't he?
I know, he's no change.
You've always gave the foot boys in the game jobs as models. Tom Lang, Josh Mullen, all these types of guys. Is that deliberate?
Yeah, that sort of started. We obviously want to have a connection, so we do quite a lot with an. I feel as though the Be Inspired now, especially, is maybe like probably a wee bit of an older audience, kind of like maybe 30 up to our age, and it's boys that go to the game. That's kind of what we're targeted as, like boys on the terrace. Like your
marketing teams at every game I go. I feel like at the moment,
it's me and Robbo, and then the boy Josh Mullen. So, but yeah, it started right at the beginning. So, like you were saying before, coming out of football's not a nice experience. Like your whole world's built around being a footballer. You're training, especially full time. You're training, you're playing. You're in this sort of like safe cocoon of like everyone does everything for you. You really just turn up, train, play, go home, look after yourself, go back to train, play, and that's your cycle. And then when you come out of that, you're like, fuck, what am I going to do? And the PFA, they can't really help you. I'm not saying there's any like that they don't want to, but like you kind of feel as though you're a bit on your own, and that's certainly how I felt when I came out of football. Like, what am I going to do? Like I say, I tried to do my B license. I didn't really want to be a coach, but felt as though I didn't really have any other options. And then luckily we started Be Inspired, and I kind of wanted to help people in that situation because I knew how bad the feeling it was. Do you know what I mean? Like I say, I was almost having to move out my house, move back in my flat, and probably at quite a low point in my life. And I was like, maybe it's something I can do to help people. So the idea was to, one, help people, but also create an atmosphere within our company that everyone talks about missing that atmosphere. So it is a fine line between
you can't
having a functioning company and having a dressing room banter. But I think we did it quite well in the early days when we were smaller. It got more difficult when we got bigger, and it had to be a bit more corporate, and that did cause some issues. But in the beginning, when it was smaller, we brought in boys like Steph McCluskey, Brian Watton, Sean Dixon, a boy that Robbo played with in Thailand, he gave him a job. He came for Thailand and got a job, and Callum McDonald. So we had all these boys that used to play football or were playing part time.
Steph was in there.
Steph
I know
McCluskey.
Steph really well. So his brother was on here.
Nah, he's a great lad, to be fair.
Steph was there.
Aye, a great lad today. He's a great lad. He's his own guy, isn't he? Just he marches to the beat of his own drum, doesn't he? But great lad. He is a great player as well. So they all came in, and it was a great atmosphere and work. And we ended up, I think we took everyone away to Magaluf one weekend. So we'd had a great time. And on a Friday, we said, right, everyone, you've got a flight at 8 o'clock, get to Magaluf, we're going there for a weekend, and we'll be home on Monday, and we'll go back to work on Monday. And we created that really good atmosphere. Like I say, as you become a bit bigger and it becomes a bit more corporate, it's difficult, and some people found that difficult. You had to be a little bit more strict than previous. But I just wanted to sort of give people a chance. And then as you move on, to stay within football, we just wanted to, like you say, bring footballers in as models. I think it's quite nice to, all the products named after a footballer. So every single piece of clothing is named after a footballer somewhere. And then we've just got models like Tom, like you say, Tom Lang, Craig Watson, and then various other people. Even sort of some of the models we'd used for down south had played football at various. And we just tried to keep that running through the brand a little bit. We're doing a lot of street content now at games. Like we'll go to like games and just ask people what they like wearing.
See everywhere on socials. But that's what I was saying. I've always got an eye for that, because I'm so keen on, I believe, marketing, especially in modern era, TikTok, all this stuff. It just gets you. It makes your business grow so quick.
A lot of it is like, you need to make a nice product. So our thought was like customer service. You need to give the customer a good experience. You need to give them a good product. But at the end of the day, if you've got a brilliant product and you great customer service, but nobody knows who your brand is, it's irrelevant. So market was such a big thing for us, and just try to be different with it as well. Like the TikTok thing for us in the last sort of few years has been massive. Like
huge.
With the stores, and obviously things have changed a little bit over the last 6 months, but the stores were really big based off the back of the TikTok and stuff like that, and everyone would walk past be like, oh, that's the brand on TikTok.
Hi everybody, my name is Al McFadden. I am the owner and founder of a company called Pitch to Placements. Now, Pitch to Placements is a company that is a training company, but is also a placement company. Now, we can train you to be in sales and recruitment jobs, not only in the UK, but across into Dubai as well. So we've actually managed over the last year of the business been going to take footballers from either their career is finished early, they have been released from clubs, they have been injured, they've got to the tail end of their career and father time catches us all. We want to make sure that stigma of you've only played football has always drove me up the wall, because the skill sets that we get in football through resilience, through being able to want to win, being in changing rooms, being able to be around about people, these skills have genuinely made you tailor-made to be in sales. With our experience at our company and the community we give you, we will start to bring you on that journey so you can get to that stage where you're either building a career for when it's done, or if you came to the end of your career and you're looking to now take the next step into a world where you can earn really good money. Now, this isn't jobs that are kind of back-end jobs. We won't earn a lot of money in sales. These are real corporate environments where you can thrive and make a lot of money. So if you are in any one of these positions and you want to know a little bit more about our company, please reach out to us. You can get us on all our social media platforms and on our website. A conversation is all we're asking for, to make sure there's too much of a stigma around about football and some of the disaster stories we hear in the podcast about people not knowing what to do next. Genuinely, we're looking to make an impact and make sure that you know you aren't out there on your own. If you want to hear more, please reach out to us. I'd done a video right at the start of the company saying I want to help footballers out, the transition's too hard. I know loads of people have come out of here and come into sales and done well. I've done one video, and literally the next week, Chris, was it Manchester you were in or something?
Manchester, and I met this guy and he says, what about this wee guy up in Scotland? He says he's starting this business about helping footballers. I said, that's faddy.
He thought he was lined him up.
That's
brilliant. One video.
You got something like 50,000 plus
Yeah,
views.
but that's all it takes, isn't it? It's just,
it is, the power of it is wild. Like Robbo would get recognised because he was doing the street style. I think we did one live one time, and then I went and played golf at Barassi, and the boy behind the counter was like, mate, were you on a TikTok live last night? And I was like, mate, shut up. And he was like, I was watching that. I was like, oh my God.
it's wild.
But we met for a coffee, and what Faddy's doing. You said you and Robbo were thinking about that at one stage, about doing some sort of thing to get footballers back in it.
I think it was sort of to be inspired, to be honest. We actually thought about maybe saying to people like, I think we actually spoke to the PFA about it.
Right.
I think it was Michelle Evans at the PA at the time, PFA, sorry, and we were like, is there nothing you can do course-wise to be like, well, can you be a graphic designer, or can you do design, or can you do like something that can take you into an environment like ours? Because we were always looking for that. Do you know what I mean? We're always looking for designers. It maybe wouldn't have been wouldn't maybe have been full-time, could have been part-time or something. Just to, and maybe help direct them in that. But I just think their hands were tied a little bit as well.
I think it is up here, it's budget. For sure, I think. Down south, I'm kind of dealing with the English PFA. They've got a lot more budget, but what I still feel is the main issue, Corky, is they give boys certificates. They'll take them in Thailand courses or whatever, but the boys still don't know how to get a job. It's still that, like, I feel as though it's a tick box exercise in some ways to be like, oh, well, we've helped.
Yeah, we've helped.
But it's like, these boys just said it, they don't know how to get jobs.
It is on yourself as well a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, nobody started, like, I don't mean that, but nobody started being inspired for me. Do you know what I mean? Nobody started, like, me and Robbo did it together. Do you know what I mean? And without each other, we might not have happened, but you've got to go out and start something. You've got to go have it off your own back to go and do something. And I think, like, we always talk about the boy Lee Mayer as well. Robbo played with him, and he's doing well for himself. But
it's good that you've watched the shows, mate.
He was on.
Was he on as well? But nah, we always talk about the fact that, like, I think being a footballer and being in that environment gives you a lot of skills that you can take in any environment, like life in general. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you've got to be thick-skinned to play football, and especially towards, like, any level, but towards the top, you've got to be even thicker skinned. Do you know what I mean? Above my level even. But I think that, like, you can see it in the workplace. You can say to people some things and you lose them a little bit. Do you know what I mean? They'll go in a huff, or they'll and me and Robbo would be having arguments in work about, like, I didn't like that design, nah, I like that design, that's shite, what have you done that for? And then I'll be like, mate, do you want a cup of tea? And I'll be like, yeah, and everyone else is pure like, whoa, like, and then, like, it's over with. Do you know what I mean? We're not doing it because we don't like each other, we're doing it because we want the best for what we're doing. Do you know what I mean? And I think, and just, like, taking knocks as well, like, something might go, oh, that didn't do well, and people might wallow in that but you're like, right, what's next? And I think as a footballer, you develop those skills that not a lot of people do in life.
So I was down at Doncaster last week. I was at Mansfield, and I had a group of like 19, 21-year-old boys in the room, right? And they're a week or two away from finding out, am I going to still be here or not? And it's what I put in my pitch deck is you're actually being trained for so many life skills without knowing it. Resilience, will to win, like the being able to take knocks, being in a changing room, I think is a big thing. But it kind of makes them tailor-made for sales jobs in some ways, because you can go in there and it's like, I remember my first sales job, I'm looking across the room and I could see a guy's name in the whiteboard and I'm like, who's that? They were like, oh, that's a guy over there. And I'm like, well, I'm going over and I'm going to be pals with him because I want to be better than him. So it was like that mentality for me came from football. I never get taught
just
that.
Sort of winning. It's like we said that about being inspired a little bit. No, you're talking about that ching, ching, ching. For that's like that. It's almost like that competitive edge. How many times can I get that coming through? How many times can I be better than, like, what I was last month? How do we grow? Do you know what I mean?
You've done brilliant, mate. You've went for that £300 in the bank to one of the biggest fashion brands in the UK. So, and I think a lot of that has been through the skills that you said there that you learned from football.
Without it, definitely wouldn't have been
so
where we are.
Some of the boys that are either, as you talk about all the time, that are either at the start of their career in football, or they're coming to their end, or they've had to come out of it because of injury. They do realise that, because we always talk to some of the players, like Ryan Stevens has said when he finished, he didn't have a pathway. Nobody's told him, like, how to get a job or what to do. It's like, if somebody told me to be a bus driver, I'd have been the best bus driver. So I think if any boys are out there and if they need any advice, then obviously maybe reach out to yourself.
I'm happy to help anyone if anyone wants to do anything in sort of a business capacity. It could be fashion, it could be anything. If anyone wants to sort of reach out, I'm always happy to help. Do
you feel like then, see, just on that, and it's just clicked to when Chris said it, I think you've got different types of personalities, like you've got with managers and stuff. I think some boys have got the bit in them, like you've got, Chris has got, I've got, where you go, well, I'll find something and I'll just work till I get it. People like Ryan, I've spoke to boys like him that are going, I don't know what to do next, and I don't know what to find. And a lot of these boys, it's the stigma of, I played with Hearts in front of X amount of people, and then all of a sudden I'm in selling something to somebody, whatever. They're going, why are you here? I feel like that's the thing. And me and Chris have spoken about this a lot recently, but the more clubs I visit, there's different types for everything. The younger boys are like, I really don't know what to do next. Boys' injuries is another one I've seen, and then the boys with father time kicks in at the end of their career when they've even more on the table, when they've got wife, kids, all that kind of stuff.
I think in Scotland it's a big thing as well, isn't it? Because you don't like, even like Steve-O's done really well in his career. He's probably earned decent money, but like, is it enough to retire forever? Probably not. And he was a big player in Scotland? Yeah. So like, it must be difficult being that sort of person that everyone recognises, and then it's like what am I going to do? So and that is, I think that is a hard part as well, is like getting your head around
that.
But yeah, like I was this, but you don't earn enough money to sort of live off that.
Lee Mayer told us a story. His way of wording it to us was, I was playing in the Allianz Arena with Aberdeen. He says, and 4 years later I was selling photocopiers. He's like, in my head I was going,
what the fuck happened?
Why is this the case?
You retire at 35, you get 50, 60 years of your life. So what do you do then?
When you're in football, you don't think like that. You don't think like, obviously I've been out of it for now, and it's like almost my football career never happened. Do you know what I mean? You're not a footballer for way longer than you're a footballer.
I describe it like an addiction. I think it took me 6 to 12 months to come out of that football haze, where like your whole life revolves around
Saturday
football.
Mornings, training,
going to training, like, oh, no, you pick the kids up, or you take them to the clubs or whatever, because I've got training, I've got games. So it's a hard.
I think you can take that and put it in something, because it is like an addiction. It's like, so if you can take that addiction and put it into something else, if you can take not many people can live their life the way a footballer has to live their life to be successful at football. Like, it's not just, I turn up and I train. You have to live your life a certain way to be good at football. Do you know what I mean? Like,
elite level.
Yeah, you can't. You got to eat right. You can't go out. You got to be like, it's probably the way you go to bed. Just everything. And if you can then go and take those routines, or the way you live your life, and go, right, I'm going to put that into such and such. But I think what you're saying is like, they don't know what the such and such is, and that's the hard part, because if you give them the such and such, they probably go and make a success of that. But unfortunately, you can't.
I was having a conversation with somebody quite high in football, and he said to me, I was telling him I wanted to put people in recruitment first, because that's the world I came for. It's now branched into sales jobs and other things that came through it. But he said to me, no footballer will want to do recruitment. It's a small industry, and I'm like, it's £41 billion industry in the world, mate. It's no small industry. So it's like, education probably is a big thing. And you're right, there's so much, like, it's just making them understand that everything you've been doing, there's a world out there where that skill set's actually there. Because there's a question for you right before Chris asks this. Compare the buzz between playing football and the life you'd had to Messi wearing your t-shirt. It's probably like, what was maybe different, but it's had to have been a buzz the same way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And that's kind of like, people say, do you miss playing football? And luckily for me, not at all, because I had something else to like take that buzz. Do you know what I mean? Take that addiction, take that, putting my whole everything into it. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
No, I just was going to say about the education, and not just the education of the players, education of people at the PFA to understand
hierarchies. I think.
I think sometimes a career in sales is like double glazing salesmen. People going round champing the door. Like, boys can come out of football. We've talked about this so many times. Like, you went in to read, I bet you 95% of the time you were just talking about football and building relationships and building your network through that. So it's, you can make $100,000 a year in sales, and you don't. It doesn't have to be like double glazing salesman. It could just be telling a few stories.
Like, obviously, I made some like good sort of good relationship. And a few IFAs, they had like firms, and they were like, "Oh, we'd like you to come and work for our firm." But obviously, you can't, because there's like, but like you make some really good relationships along the way, and then that can. For example, maybe you don't enjoy recruitment. Maybe you go in because you can't enjoy anything, but then something in those relationships you make along the way, something else can sprout out of that. And it's just like putting yourself in situations where something you want to happen might happen, and just keep putting yourself in those situations.
The best thing you've done, which just talking here, is your network. It's just your network. He's really good at networking and just talking to people, and you never know who knows who, and then you ends up with.
I think like social media is that, isn't it? It's like just increasing your network a lot. So be inspired, I would say, so reliant on, or was so reliant on where we got to because of social media. And
I think where I've made a mistake, I spoke to Chris about this openly, and I think it gets mixed with the case that some people think, just want to be podcasters. And I'm like, this business the podcast was built to get eyes in the business. So we've got there's been people in our network who've been really helpful, yourself and guys like that. There's other people who go, I know, these guys are starting a podcast, and I'm like, The podcast is just, I love talking
The
to guys like
podcast is
myself,
almost
but
secondary to get.
it's just
like,
there to get the eyes. That was the quickest way I
exactly.
felt I
Yep.
could get players knowing about the business.
Yep.
Especially I went full time in November, and obviously I think this time of year is the biggest time people need you. It's why I'm going around the clubs. Looking at the young boys last week, honestly, it was like transporting myself back to being younger and just looking at them going, I felt for them. You could see the fear in their face. It was like their
It's
dreams.
like it's all built up to this.
And some of the boys had been there since they were 9 up to nearly 21 now at Doncaster, and they feel as though they're going to get let go. And that to me was like, it was just a fun reminder.
It's sad as well. It is sad as well. It is
sad.
sad. We went up to Montrose, Robbo's boys up at Montrose, and he's out on loan at East Craigie, like on a dual contract sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we did like a skill school thing. So we did like crossbar challenge and like
brilliant.
do that. Remember the old soccer
Aye,
AM
soccer
skill
was
school?
brilliant,
We were
aye.
like, let's try and bring that back for a bit of banter. And obviously speaking to the coach, and he's like, I'm just trying to create good adults with good sort of philosophies, and if they can go on and have any career in football. But he's like, realistically, like only like 1% of these players are actually going to play football at any level, and it's a sad thing. But unfortunately, there's just so many people try to play football that you have to probably prepare yourself for.
I got a start for the English PFA. It was 0.05% make it as millionaires enough that they can play after the game, and 6%, it's close to it was like 5 point odd, stay in the game and coaching enough where they've got enough money to live their life. Everybody gets through.
wild,
What I
innit?
say to Chris all the time is, imagine getting, I feel like boys get punished for being, it's one of the toughest industries in the world to get in and stay in. And then after that, it's like, can you make enough money? There's so much stuff moving just because your passion.
Aye.
You shouldn't be like punished for that. Do you know what I mean? It's like
and then when you do make it, you just get slaughtered in the press for making it. Do you know what I mean?
Fans.
Aye.
Do you want to talk about the wee guy that was on his phone when you were doing your presentation
Right,
last
I
week?
was talking to him and I was like, am I born you? And he's like, no, I was like to him, I'll be a bird, you're texting, show me the picture of that. He was like shaking like a leaf. It's this wee guy, but all the rest of the room then started getting a bit more involved in it, but it does take a bit of,
Aye,
but I think the boys
Try to get them involved, isn't it? It's try to get them to listen.
But in the presentation, I tell people, it's look, here's my background to it, just because it's not just coming from somebody that was in the game, but it's more, I've got tons of mates. Like, I tell the story of, I was at Clyde when Bomber was there, and he was the Rangers under-21s manager for like 5-6 years before he took the Clyde job. And when I went there was players came out of that Rangers team full time at 21. They're still pals of mine now that went for earning thousands of pounds a week to earn 150 quid a week at Clyde, not having a job, and then all of a sudden the mental health kicked in, etc. If I can tell that story to boys and they start to go, well, maybe I should be thinking about it, and that's
It's tough.
tragic,
It's
man.
tough because I was at Scottish Widows, and my idea was like, well, my pathway I wanted to go through Scottish Widows, like I'd like to do my IFA exams, then I'd like to get in investments, because like there was a thing called Scottish Widows Investment Partnership, like SWIP, and I was like, I want to get into investment banking, and then when I signed for Hamilton, I'm sure they were like, what was it? Yeah, and they were basically saying, well, you can stay on a Wednesday and do your IFA, like. And I keep doing that, but I didn't. I mean, I was only like 22 at the time. I was like, no, I'm going to go and play football. I can come back to this later if I want to. But obviously, when you look back, you're like, maybe I should have just done it for like 3 years of your career, and then you have a qualification to fall back on after.
I think you've done all right, mate.
No, I'm not complaining. Mate. I'm not complaining.
So
I'm not complaining.
what's happening now? What are you doing with yourself apart from playing golf? We're still
just-
to get a wee game.
Just a wee bit of business consulting, mate, to be fair. Obviously, sort of things happened with the business last year, and somebody's bought it over. So I'm just doing a bit of consultancy, helping other brands and try to help brands start up or helping people I know, really.
So much knowledge to give people.
Yeah, just... we've learnt so many things over the last 12 years. It's crazy.
always been
Like
12 years?
Aye, 12 years. Well, 13 now, mate. Do you know what I mean? 2013 we started the brand. So
Me being a new business owner, what's advice then would you give somebody? Because to me, I say to him all the time, I don't think any 2 weeks are the same. Like, take that Dubai thing, for instance. That was starting to get a lot of... I knew
Yeah,
5 boys going
yeah.
to point to Dubai, and then Trump started his epic fury, and it just...
and again, the social media.
Just,
So that's a big thing of social media, because you speak to some people that are over there and like, it's not as bad as you make it
that
out.
was it earlier,
People are
fine.
just, don't get me wrong, people are probably watching out what's happening, but like, it's not as bad as everyone's making out.
I think Dubai will be.
I'll come
I don't
round
know,
again.
I
There's
think
no
it'll come
problem
round
there. It's
again.
just, it's just a bit of the fear, I think.
yeah.
But that's what I mean. It's like they things just... advice you give people,
everything's
just rolling the
sensationalised,
knocks,
isn't it?
learn for it.
I think just start. Like, you've got to start. Like, you can procrastinate and procrastinate and procrastinate. If you keep doing that, you're never going to get anywhere. Just start and then perfect it as you go. Like, so many people we've gone along with at the time that maybe wanted to start a brand or do something, but they want to get it perfect before they start. See, if you saw the stuff we started with, mate, it was fucking shite. Well, it was terrible. Like, I remember getting stuff for, like, I don't know where it was, like Thailand, I think it was. And so right at the beginning, we had the t-shirts, and we'd been doing t-shirts, and then we thought, right, let's do a jumper. So we ordered these jumpers, and we basically spent all our money on these, like, 200 jumpers. Was it the blue? Was it the blue one?
That was a model, well,
I think I washed it and it fell apart.
To be fair, you got a semi-decent one, but nah. So the first lot came, and we were like, oh, these look all right. And we put it on, mate, and the neck was like this size. It was like one of the off-the-shoulder birds. And me and Rob were like, oh no, mate, what we could
Chris.
Chris. His big fat neck will fill up.
Sorry. He's been out joking about late today. Thought I was like, well.
You look good.
But like, we had another shipment coming in. It was t-shirts, and we're like, see if these are that's our business over already. And they came in and they were good. And me and Rob were jumping about them. Yes, we're still in business. So just like things like that, you've just got to, like, there's going to be things that come along. You just got to get over them and sort of, like you say, roll with the punches a wee bit and just start. Just start somewhere, because no matter what you do, the first time you do it, it's going to be shite compared to what it's going to be eventually. But it's going to be better than not starting. Do you know what I mean? So
probably, I haven't told many people this on here because I don't like to credit them too much after being slaughtering these weight and stuff today. But the very first meeting I had, honestly, he was the person that got me started, because I went in there, between jobs, I'd just left solution driven. I'd always had this idea to do this. Like, I'm talking 6 years, this has been on my mind. It was never time. My missus, we got a house.
You can always make an excuse, can't you?
Always, right. So when I spoke to him, I said, look, we're talking about me maybe doing some consultancy work for his business, because we're similar industries and stuff. And I told him about this idea, and he was like, I think it was how much it lit him up to start with. I went, well, if he thinks it's a good idea, but he gave me the belief to do it, gave me the kind of like support network to do it, because it was, in the early days I didn't know how to start it. But everything else, I know you're right, don't get it. But I mean, it's like, it gives you that bit of like...
Sometimes you need, like, sometimes it's difficult to start on your own. Like I say, me and Robbo have been great for each other. Do you know what I mean? Without Robbo, I wouldn't have started being. I don't think it would be. We've got each other through some tough times as well. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's nice to have somebody to start or like bounce off, or have somebody to do something. So it's kind of like, that's maybe something as well. Starting on your own is difficult. You can do it, but it's maybe good to sort of go in with somebody, and then you've got that support network.
Have you still got a contact with Messi?
Get him on here. I'll get you laughing at, right? So I've been networking round Dubai like mad, and you know Chris at the back of hand, right? So I'm talking to him about, Chris, no, I believe this. I'm talking to this club over here saying they're going, we need to introduce you to Andrea, and I'm like, who's Andrea? Google Pirlo, right? So I'm like, Chris, no, I believe this. Pirlo's the manager of this team. So it turned out this like person in Dubai had hired Pirlo to be like his boys' school team's coach, and Pirlo went, I'm not just doing that. So he went, well, sack your manager, you can be the first team manager on this team, right? But I started going like, Tim, imagine we get 10 minutes for him. Honestly, for 3 weeks, every time he told the story, he's like, see if I get Pirlo on a broadcast. I'm like, he's done enough.
He's just taking the credit,
oh, if I get, not even we get him on, it was I get him on.
I get Pirlo on here, I'm sure.
So he's telling people stories. I'm like,
I think Pirlo would be good, wouldn't it?
He got $1 million. One of the universities over there gave him $1 million for just doing a month's work.
Oh, really?
It's like, see in Dubai at the moment, it's like we've got a contact over there called Ben Pringle. He's a great guy. I've ended up partnering with him. He's like, it kind of felt like we needed each other from a point of view of, he would bring footballers over there, but footballers over there need to work. They don't get big salaries, although you would think they do, they don't. So it's like they need to work, but he couldn't get them jobs, so it was like kind of maybe affecting him. Whereas when I was sending players there, they still want to play football. So I've joined together as a network now, but he was telling me, like, the stuff he tells you about the football, it's like the guys train for like 6:30 in the morning to 8:30, but it's like warmer in the sun after that, like because they need to go work and then they play at night times. But he's like probably again networking and partnerships and all that kind of stuff. It's opened up a world over there. That
So many people over there looking to do business, aren't they? Because obviously there's sort of reliefs that you get for being a business person over there.
We're meant to be going. We're hoping.
End of April.
Supposed
to bring it out, but we'll see.
So Chris can interview Pirlo and I can sit and watch.
Pirlo, aye.
You do what you like. One of my Mark Pirlo
Podcast on the beach club, aye. Nice.
To Jim.
Mate, listen, we appreciate your time. We know, listen, I just think your story is
amazing.
It's inspiring, isn't it? I mean, what I like about it is, one, you've always had that probably eye on your after career, which I think is brilliant advice for people just getting started. I mean, would you have thought you were going to do a fashion brand when you were younger?
No, not at all. No, just
mad, eh? So we appreciate you coming on telling your story. Hopefully it helps people. Like we say always in every show, reach out to us if you're in that position. It's getting to the end of the season now. If you are finding yourself young and leaving a club, injured, getting to the end of your career, and our conversation's all it takes. That's what our business is here to do, is help. So, Corky, thanks for your time, mate. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, guys. Appreciate it.